From the RNC, we are in Cleveland. We're broadcasting live from the Quicken Loans Arena. We're in Cleveland, Ohio, the third night of the RNC. Now, of course, is coming up tomorrow, Donald Trump's big speech. Ivanka Trump will be introducing her father ahead of this highly anticipated keynote speech as the official Republican nominee. Earlier tonight, I had a chance to speak with Ivanka about this campaign. Let's take a look. Ivanka, great to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, so I've known you all these years. This is the first time I get to sit down and interview with you.
I'm excited to be here. I get very jealous seeing my brothers on all the time, so I had to tell them I was coming on tonight.
Well, listen, you come up last. Tiffany spoke, Don spoke, Eric spoke. Now you're last. Little pressure? Did they raise the bar high?
Don just hit it out of the park, and Eric is unbelievable, and Tiffany so articulate. I know that at 22 I could not talk in front of an arena filled with thousands of people, knowing millions were watching at home. So I am in awe. And Melania, I mean, her poise and grace and how well she articulated herself and the sentiment of what she said, it was amazing. So it's a family affair.
You know, I've known your father, interviewed your dad, and he would always walk me around and say hello to all of you, your brothers and you. And did you ever imagine all of this? Did you ever think he would do this?
It's hard to imagine this experience. So it has been unbelievable and just an incredible journey, and we've all learned so much and discovered so much about this country. It's been amazing. One of the most remarkable parts about this experience for me is really traveling around the country with my father, meeting people from all walks of life, from all parts of our great nation, and sort of hearing what's on their mind, seeing their excitement and their passion and their optimism.
When you saw the crowds.
Message, and also learning what their concerns are. So it really is a mind-expanding experience. There's no other way to have it.
You can't really describe it. I've been to every city. I've had that same experience, and it really is, until you do it, it's incredible, because the people of this country, I agree with you, are so great.
And there's such love, and there's such passion, and there's such optimism for what this country has the potential to be under the right leadership.
I agree. When he came down the elevator on day one, were you thinking about winning? Were you thinking about a Republican convention? Were you thinking about him really being president? Did you think, yeah, I think he's going to win. He's going up against seasoned governors, ex-governors, senators, you know, some of the top Republicans in the country?
So I think when he was coming down the escalator, I was just happy that I was just happy that my introduction was done, because I was very nervous. So after adjusting to that, I think really in some ways being naive as to what we were in store for over the months to come was a bit of a blessing, because we really just digested everything real time and just were in the moment and enjoyed the experience.
So you weren't thinking ahead?
Well, I will say, though, that I've never seen my father put his mind towards accomplishing a goal and really be focused on it and not get there. So in retrospect, I'm actually not surprised by the incredible success he had. At the time, I think we were all trying to figure out what it meant to be the children of somebody who's running for president of the United States of America. But the reaction of people to him is unsurprising, in the sense that I've seen my whole life how he will have a vision and then inspire through his leadership all those around him to go out and get it and make it happen. And in sort of a way, he's doing that on a much larger scale for the people of this country. He had thoughts on the issues that needed to be addressed, and that's what everyone's talking about.
It's really a family affair. I'm really close to your brother Don and Eric now. I've really gotten to know them. I can kid around with them, have fun with them. But it's collaborative. You guys are very active and involved. You express your opinions. He seeks out your counsel. But then at the end of the day, as Don says, it's his call.
Yeah.
How forceful are all of you when there's a big decision to be made?
Well, he certainly raised opinionated children, and he taught us to have firm convictions and articulate ourselves and express those sentiments, and we certainly do. You know, we have a unique perspective in that obviously we have a very close, loving relationship as a family, but we've also worked alongside of him for over a decade as his top executives at our family business. So we really understand each other, and we know how we know how we operate and how we think as a group, so we always express our opinion. But I think the way my father processes information is he asks a lot of people what their thoughts are, and he internalizes it, he thinks about it, and ultimately he comes to his own conclusion. But he's an unbelievable listener, and he really appreciates candor. Even when people don't agree with him, he appreciates.
I like to be very blunt.
No, you know this about him.
I know that.
And he appreciates.
He wants bluntness. He wants tell me what you really think. He's very, very interesting that way.
He'll take it or leave it in terms of the advice, but he appreciates people who aren't afraid.
I don't know if you know this, but having interviewed your brothers a lot on radio and TV, both of them say that you were treated a lot better than they were, and that they were, well, that's what they say, that your dad was easier on you. Is that fair?
I don't know. I think they're trying to hold that over my head a little bit. No, I think I was a little bit of a daddy's girl, but I think all of us, we're an unbelievably close family. And
I see that now.
Yeah, so.
Well, you haven't.
But they have ribbed me about that for a few decades.
Well, Don told me a few stories about how he got in trouble, and he said you wouldn't get in trouble.
That happened.
That did happen a lot.
That happened.
Yeah. So you've been a model, you're a designer, you've been a TV host, author, you graduated with honors from Wharton, you are the executive vice president of development for the Trump Organization, expansion of global real estate, very significant position in your own right.
Most importantly, I'm the mother of 3. That's the hardest work of anything I do. Yeah,
it is hard, right? I've got 2 kids. It's hard.
They're amazing. So my youngest is 3.5 months old, and my oldest is just turned 5 years old. So I'm definitely more exhausted on a Monday morning than I am on a Friday night.
It's true, right? I go to tennis tournaments with my kid, and I come back and I said, "This is harder than work."
It's so much harder.
The Boston Herald had an article. It said that you are the key to softening your father's image, and that the kids are the key to, but more specifically you. You've read those things before. Is there a misperception about your dad? Because
I think people don't see his warmth and his compassion, and he has tremendous warmth and tremendous compassion, and he just tends to show those sides of himself in more intimate settings, and he's a very private person in that regard. So for me, it's much easier for me to express all the amazing things about him as a person, as a father, and he's probably more reserved in terms of expressing those things himself.
I one time was in your dad's office and we were talking about Twitter, and I expressed a strong opinion, and you jumped right in. You had strong opinions about it. We were just talking generally about social media, and it seems like there's no hesitation to really tell him how you feel. You really just lay it out on the line.
That's true. And he does the same to me, so.
You said your father, this is interesting because everything in politics is broken down demographically. So you have the black vote, the Hispanic vote, the Asian vote, the millennial vote, women, men, and you said that your father lives gender equality. That's an interesting line. What did you mean by that?
He does, because my father doesn't think in terms of demographic. He thinks in terms of the person. So when he meets somebody, he thinks about, are they capable? Do they have drive? Do they have passion? Do they have vision? He looks for the same quality in everyone. So it's completely irrelevant to someone what their gender is. And I know that obviously from personal experience, the way he raised me alongside of my brothers, he never differentiated. He never suggested that the boys go out with him on the weekends to construction sites and, you know, I go hang out with mom at the department store. You know, that he never played into stereotypes. So, you know, as long as we were interested, he always wanted us to be around. So I grew up walking construction jobs by his side. And so I think even just in my earliest years, he never typecasted me by gender. And then I later on went to work in his company where I was surrounded by incredible female role models at the highest levels who were accomplishing incredible things. So it's not how he operates.
When you see every election year, I can tell you what Democrats will say about whoever the Republican candidate is. It's predictable as the day is long. Republicans are racist, they're xenophobic, they're homophobic, they want to poison the air, water, and they want to take your grandmother in a wheelchair and throw her over a cliff. Those ads will come. Is it hard and painful to hear these things that have been said and will be said about your father?
It is very difficult, absolutely. The negative advertisement, the spin, but I take comfort in the fact that I know my father. So there's no question for me, which in some ways makes it harder, because so much of what's out there that's negative is fiction. But, you know, at least I know in my heart the man, and so that helps.
Your brother Donnie once said to me that he wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. I mean, you graduated with honors from Wharton. You have multiple businesses that you've started that are successful in and of their own right. And he said there was no option. He insisted on doing your best in school, doing your best in business. A lot of kids, and I'm sure you probably grew up with some of them, grew up with money in New York, and they don't turn out so well.
Well, I think he raised us with a sense of gratitude for the privilege that we have, and we all recognize that we grew up very fortunate. We weren't spoiled in the sense that I think we were grateful for everything that we had, but we were spoiled on a relative basis to many people around the world. So I think he taught us to be very grateful, and I think he taught us not to be entitled. And I think that's a key thing. I think so many people I know, there's a sense of entitlement to have what their parents had earned. And he let us know that if we wanted a certain quality of life, we would have to work really hard to achieve it.
I saw pictures of you usually getting in a cab in New York, which is, I would assume that a lot of people would probably think you had a driver. My last question for you, and this is a question I've asked your dad a number of times. We've now doubled the national debt. President Obama has taken on more debt before him combined. $95 million in his campaign. Is that what motivates him? Because I don't hear him say enough that I want those people to be successful.
It's incredibly important to him. Almost half of this country can't come up with $400 in the event of an emergency.
Scary, right?
No savings. The sense of fragility financially is oppressive, and I think, you know, we're the first generation who aren't overly optimistic. The generation coming up behind us has the ability to do better than we did, or even at the same level, and that's got to change. So he's always had tremendous civic drive, but what's different now is that he just felt like he couldn't wait any longer. And he wants to help people, and he wants to help this country, and he knows what he's capable of doing. The only thing probably the thing my father dislikes the most is incompetence, and he sees so much of it, and he knows what this country has the potential to be.
All right, last question. Will you and your brothers go to the White House with him if he gets elected?
One day at a time. We're all very busy now running our family business, but you know, it is an unbelievable opportunity to create change on a major level, but Ivanka, we take it one day at a time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you.
All right, joining us now with reaction from the Washington Examiner and contributor Lisa Booth, Trump campaign pollster, advisor Kellyanne Conway, and former Clinton pollster, Fox News contributor Doug Schoen. Kellyanne, I'm going to start with you because of the polling, and we'll go back to Frank Luntz too later, and he's got his focus group out there today. These kids are skyrocketing in every focus group, and they're amazing kids. I know them all. I mean, I've known Ivanka for a long time. It was my first interview. I know Don and Eric really well. They're great. They're all great in their own way. What an asset to Donald Trump.
And voters will look at the full measure of the man. They won't listen to one insult that the left puts out or one thing he said and how he said it 10 years ago, 20 years ago. They will look at the full measure of man. And Sean, can't we all agree that at the end of your life, if you've raised wonderful children who are productive, who are sincere, who are great family people in their own right, who are loving and generous of spirit, then you've lived a great life.
But, you know, it does. Mike Pence hit this hard tonight.
You can't fake good kids.
Really?
Great line.
Great line, right?
He said you can't fake good kids, and
you know
we all
something,
know it's true.
And I know Doug Schoen over there at the end of the table is, you see how powerful these kids are connecting.
Yeah, I do.
And it makes you nervous, doesn't it?
He's led a great life. He's raised great kids. That doesn't make him qualified to be president, and it doesn't make him more electable when Ted Cruz did what he did tonight, which was self-destructive and harmful to Donald Trump.
Well, you know something, but that's going to hurt Ted Cruz. That's not going to hurt Donald Trump. That hurt Ted Cruz. This building
Wait till
up pretty
Secretary Clinton uses that against him. Watch.
It will end up hurting Ted Cruz. And what's so important here is we're seeing the Democrats and we're seeing Hillary Clinton do what they do best, the demagoguing, the character assassination. And that's what they're trying to do of Donald Trump. But it makes it really hard when you have these kids as third-party validators. And that's really what they're serving as. And when you have them speaking and telling these anecdotal stories about the father they know and the leadership, not just the father they know, but his leadership skills and his business acumen, that helps him tremendously this election.
May I just offer something? This whole idea of qualifications, which of course we weren't allowed to discuss in 2008 because the unqualified, inexperienced Barack Obama was running. So
the radical I kept talking about, that guy. Yeah,
if you dared say, Sean, on any show, well, I don't know if he has the experience. This is not an experience election; it's a change election. So now, if we talk about qualifications, if you walked around New York City and you asked people randomly, what are Donald Trump's qualifications? They will tell you right away. He's built fabulous businesses. He has great kids. He's employed thousands of people, many of them women. Ask people who were the constituents of Senator Hillary Clinton in New York. What were her three greatest accomplishments?
Doug knows this.
You want to get New Yorkers like stuttering right away? Just ask them.
Okay, I do a bit on my radio show, and I did this to poor Doug, although I let you off the hook more than I let others. But I'll say, all right, somebody will say, oh, Hillary has done this, this, and this. I'll say, all right, name 3 specific things she's done to improve the lives of the American people. Yeah. And then we play the Jeopardy music. Da, 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 da.
Cue the crickets.
And guess what? They can't answer. Nobody has answered that question. Ever.
Should we see if Doug can do it?
No. And you know what?
Do we have Jeopardy music on in the...
I don't think we need it, but the truth is she does not have accomplishments. Hence, she's going to run a vicious negative campaign, $2 billion,
Doug,
massive surrogates.
Kellyanne, did you just hear what he said? She doesn't have accomplishments.
I'm being honest.
I know, but
I like honesty.
You know,
right.
This is
we got to take a break. You guys are going nowhere. Stay right there.
Okay.
We'll come back. More with our panel right after the break. And also, we'll check back in with Frank Luntz and his focus group of undecided voters right here in Ohio. Also, I see him. He's got his glasses on. His beard is long. The one and only Phil, broadcasting live tonight from the Quicken Loans Arena.